Welcome back to the Run Dusty Run podcast, where runners from all over the world share their stories and running journeys. We hope you'll be inspired, encouraged, and a community will be built. Friends, welcome, if you would, our podcast next guest, Alex Baker, someone who has an extremely inspirational and powerful story, a journey of overcoming loss and tragedy. So, Alex, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, super excited to be here, and it's really cool that you're starting this podcast and being able to build a community. So I'm excited to be part of the early part of it.
Awesome, and I thank you so much for coming on with us. Tell us a little bit, as an icebreaker here, your worst or funniest or most embarrassing running moment.
Oh, wow. Worst running moment. I think it would probably be, man, this is a hard one. That's a good question, dude. I think it's probably the kind of panic at a race where you're like, when is the closest bathroom kind of situation where you're just like in your head, like, oh gosh, can I make it? And, and just always thinking about that is probably. Yeah, luckily I've not had a code brown or anything crazy, but it's always the panic though of, oh God, is it going to happen today?
Absolutely. All right. Well, shifting to something a little more serious, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into running, and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've really struggled with my weight for most of my adult life. I was relatively athletic until about 15. My parents moved us from Northern Illinois to Indiana. Indianapolis is where I live currently. And I started changing a lot, focused in on getting involved in school and campus when I got to college, etc., and eventually got married. Eventually had our son, and I just really spent a lot of time on the couch. I was not athletic. I did not want to go hiking. I did not want to go on long walks or, even short walks. Anything I could do to avoid all of that is kind of where I started my athletic journey, if you will.
Sure.
And so, you mentioned in the intro, I suffered through loss. And so in 2017, my wife was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer. And it was a horrendous 16-month experience. And ultimately she passed after those 16 months. She did 25 rounds of chemo, 50 rounds of radiation, multiple surgeries, just like the whole gambit. And it was, again, as you can imagine, a horrendous kind of experience. And then after she passed, I had to tell my son, hey, your mom died.
Mm-hmm.
And, that just woke me up. My son shouldn't lose another parent because
Sure.
I could not take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started on a journey of taking a first step outside, taking a first step into a gym, and started actually exercising and investing time in myself. And now, we'll fast way forward, but
Sure.
now I've run 5 marathons. I've logged more than 4,200 miles. And the journey in between there, it's a lot and, crazy ups and downs during those times and injuries, etc. But yeah, so I went from, sitting on the couch, not wanting to do anything to now running 5 marathons.
Yeah, so that's incredible. So tell us a little bit about what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way. I mean, obviously, this is such a powerful and extreme story. Like what are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, especially during Amanda's treatment and now in my running journey, is forward is a pace, and you don't necessarily know like what the right next thing is, but just taking that first step and then taking the next step and the next step. And, in a cancer journey, that's something that you never know what's going to be the thing that's going to take it, which way or that way. But with the information you have, what's the next right thing? Take that next step. And again, with athletics and with running, For me, it was taking that first step outside of my house for the first intentional mile to walk. And then it was, well, maybe I can do 2 miles and 3 miles and a 5K and a 10K and a 10 miles and a half, et
Mhm.
cetera. And I think taking that, being confident enough to take that first step,
Sure.
not knowing where it's going to go is a huge step forward.
Yeah, yeah,
you know
absolutely.
and it's a lesson that I learned a lot. And then I'm also a charity marathoner, and I'm sure we'll talk about that
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
But the other big lesson is you never know who's on your sidelines. I love that you post all of your runs. I love
Mm.
that you post and share the exciting things that happen in your world, and I have started to do the same. And it is amazing the people that
Yes.
show up either virtually, in person, making a donation, etc. Like, you are inspiring people that you don't even know, right?
Mhm.
People maybe I haven't talked to in 30 years.
Mhm.
They're the ones making a contribution. They're the ones sharing
Mhm.
something on social and
Mhm.
commenting. And I don't know. That's another, I think, big lesson I've learned is it's okay to share. It's okay to, you're not like, hey world, look at me,
Right,
right?
right.
I just want to put some good stuff out in the world.
Yeah, and I think that's so spot on. One of the things, and it was something that I struggled with, and I even sort of consulted friends with it. Like how does how does posting our runs on Instagram not come off as like, look at me? But I'm reminded of something that my coach shares with us often, and that is that every run has a story and every one has a story. And I think that's so cool and so applicable to the running community because, as you said, like there are very few communities I've ever encountered in my entire life more encouraging than the running community. And it's just such a blessing to see. Sometimes it's the runs you don't even feel like, or it's like it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. It was just a few miles, but you posted and you're reminded that like maybe that was the nudge someone else needed to get out the front door for their run, and just really the encouragement and the inspiration and really to some degrees at time the accountability.
Yeah, and I think we have to be vulnerable too
Mm,
about our runs. Like,
yeah.
not every run is a great run. Not every run are we going to feel strong and powerful. And sometimes we feel like that was a slog. That was the worst run I've ever had, right? And sharing and being vulnerable there too, I think
Mm,
also lessens that, oh, look at me, I'm so great. And
mhm.
it's just, you're just being real and you're sharing with a community like you were talking about. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, you've had the opportunity to run some races as a charity runner. Tell
yeah.
us a little bit about what that looks like and how that's played out.
Yeah. So, at obviously after losing my wife and starting this running journey, I realized somewhere along the way that fundraising is how I could fight back against cancer.
Mhm,
And so, as a quick aside, about 2 weeks after my wife was diagnosed, those first 2 weeks, we received a bill for about $400,000,
mm,
and I couldn't fathom how to deal with that. And so the charity that I started working with is called St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
mhm,
And one of their big missions is to make sure no family ever receives a bill. And that's for treatment, for housing, travel, food,
mhm,
nothing. And that spoke to me a lot as a charity runner. And I could apply for any charity, right?
mhm.
But for me, it was important to find one that meant something and something that
Right.
translated and could impact people's lives in a different way.
Mm,
Being able to be a caregiver for my wife, it's got to be so much harder to caregive for your child. And then to have the financial burden of that as well is something that it's just so overwhelming that if I can contribute a little bit to that effort and make sure that we're funding research to end cancer and also help make sure that these families never have that burden, that was something that was important. So as part of the sign up process, being able to find a charity that spoke to me was important. And then through that, it has just been a rewarding journey to be able to run those miles, raise money and see the impact that you're actually able to make. Yeah. Another aside, I saw the London Marathon posted something like 87 million pounds they
Mm.
raised in
Wow.
in money for last year. Like marathoners, charity marathoners are changing the world,
Hmm.
and I'm super excited to be part of that journey and that community, if you will.
Awesome. Yes. So we're kind of in that lull, I guess some people
Yeah.
would say. We're at that time of year where a lot of the big build up to the fall races is sort of over as those fall marathons are coming to an end. So we're kind of in this weird season for runners between the fall marathons and getting revved back up for the spring. Tell me a little bit about what that season looks like for you in your running world.
Yeah. So I in late September finished the Berlin Marathon. I'm
Awesome.
chasing the six world majors. I did
Nice.
the US three, New York, Boston, and Chicago in one like 12-month period, and now I'm doing the internationals in a one per year. Original six. I'm not feeling Sydney, but
Not sure about
you
that
know,
seventh, huh?
yeah. So I finished Berlin in September, and then I took a good like 45 days off of running.
Mm,
My body needed the recovery time. I
right.
instead started taking our dog out for a walk,
Mm.
trying to see if I can have a running buddy. Not
Uh-huh.
sure yet. The she's a little crazy and amped, and anytime there's a squirrel or a rabbit, she's in.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
But now I'm starting to build that base again and trying to get ready for kind of a January training season for up until London, which is April 26th of
Okay.
next year.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So along the way, and we know this as runners, and really I think just in life in general, there are along the way, along the journey, there are some low points. I mean, we love to celebrate the finish lines and the medals and the accomplishments of it all, but we also know that there are valleys along the way, and in your journey with what you've been through,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about like what is it? How do you get through those? Um, how do you get through those low times?
Yeah. I think for me, it really is that mindset of just forward is a pace. Like, you know what? Cool. I had a K that I was doing today. Did it go the way I wanted it to? No. Did I want to get up and do it this morning? Not really. And so I don't, for me, I've realized the accomplishment is getting to the start line and getting
Yeah.
eventually to the finish line
Hmm.
at whatever pace that is.
Sure.
I'm generally a back of the pack runner. So finishing is what I'm excited and proud about.
Hmm.
I've definitely had bad races. I've had a lot of bad runs. This past summer was super hot, and I never felt like I could get there, that I could
Sure.
finish the run without walking a bunch, so that I could just dripping in sweat, right?
Yeah.
And just,
Yeah.
oh, gross. I think that again has been that mindset of just forward.
Hmm.
And Berlin as a great example was a horrendous race for me. It was like 81 degrees when I crossed the start line, and at like K I was dry heaving.
Oh man.
And as marathon runners, that's a 42K is what,
Right.
so
Right. Right.
I had a long way to go to get there. And there's a bit of drive of being a charity runner and understanding like what I am doing is changing other people's lives, and it's good to just keep pushing. And there's part of it that 2019 Alex would never have gotten off the couch in the first place. So
Right.
who cares how long it takes you to finish this thing?
Sure. Sure. So in this 6 year ish
Hmm.
journey that you've had now, tell us a little bit about your favorite race. So
Yeah.
what was your favorite race? What did you love most about it?
Yeah. The New York City Marathon was easily my favorite race. Um, I I also mentioned I did Boston. Boston's weekend experience was off the charts. Like
Mhm.
the whole city of Boston is excited about the race, right? And you see it everywhere, and restaurants are involved. In New
Mhm.
York, it's just kind of a thing that happens in the
Uh-huh.
greatest city in the world. Uh, and but man, coming when you're running the five boroughs, and when you get to Manhattan, you cross a bridge in total silence, just footstep after footstep, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, and then you come off the bridge, you go around a turn onto First Avenue, and it is wild. Like 10 people deep for like 3 or 4 miles of just screaming and encouragement and people, I grabbed somebody had a bag of pretzels, like I grabbed that from somebody. There are people with tissues and water and like all of the things. Like there are the excitement of just that experience was fantastic. So New York by far best, personally, is best race experience.
Awesome. So if there were a lesson, and I know you've talked a lot about this idea, and I think it's so great that forward is a pace. If there was any sort of, with what you've been through in your life, and to our listeners out there who maybe are going through a hard time or even a grieving process themselves, what sort of encouragement would you offer based on your journey and what you've been through?
Yeah, one of my friends has a mantra herself that is, you can do hard things.
Uh-huh.
And, there's so much in our life that we are presented, and you can't think about the big picture all of the
Uh-huh.
time. Another friend of mine always says is, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And
Absolutely.
so if you're breaking down those goals, those dreams, those problems, like how do you chip away at it? How do you,
Uh-huh.
I during my run journey I lost 80 pounds,
Uh,
and uh, it seemed so daunting for so long. Like I would never be able to do that, but I didn't know what I was capable of. I just told myself every day, you're never going to do that. That's impossible for you. That's impossible for you. And until you take that step, and it's okay. I've seen a chart online that's like, you think that running progress is like a straight line, and
uh-huh.
it's not. It's ups and downs, it's waves, and you'll get there eventually. And like, I would love to be a Boston qualifier. I'm a
Sure.
Boston charity qualifier, but
Sure.
running a
Yeah.
Boston uh, 3.5 hour, 3:20, whatever it is for my age group now, like that seems impossible.
Uh-huh.
But you know what? You can keep chipping away at it over and over, and can get there eventually, or you find other ways if that's your goal, right? Another discussion I had with a group of friends recently is about manifesting it.
Uh-huh.
You know, if you want to do the thing, you need to put the time and effort in to just do that thing. And again, for me, not knowing I am not going to be a Boston qualifier,
Uh-huh.
manifest it through charity. Like
Uh-huh.
I wanted that unicorn so badly that I
Yeah.
applied through 5 charities. I went through multiple rounds of interviews. I was like, I am ready to do this thing because it's
Mm-hmm.
that important to me.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit, if because a lot of our listeners are in that situation, and I mean, and I likely am too, of the reality is, despite our best efforts and our best training programs, and doing everything we're supposed to, the reality of actually just qualifying by time alone, and now with the buffer and all of that,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what getting into these races via charity route. Tell us what that looks like.
Yeah. So charity, a lot of the majors have a website with they list all of these charities. Effectively, each charity gets allotted a certain number of bibs. Some of them very large, like the one I was with Boston was a group called the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. They have like 500 bibs or something insane. I don't know what the actual number is, but it's a
Sure.
lot. Whereas St. Jude now has 10 for Boston. It's very small. It's
Sure.
slim pickings to get into that. And so some of them, it's an application process. Some of them, for Dana-Farber, as an example, you have to do a follow-up interview. And they, talk to you about your passion and your, whatever you're excited about. And then ultimately there's a commitment that you have to make, and you have to meet that dollar amount. So for London this coming year, it's a $10,000 commitment that I've got with St. Jude. And when I sign up, I give them my credit card.
Sure.
And if I raise $1, my credit card is charged for $9,999, right? And so it is a scary prospect to like
Mhm.
my I don't have that kind of money to just drop 10 grand on a charity. And so I have found that there's a lot of ways. There are local businesses that are willing to help, a lot of friends and family. There's a huge running community that I've been able to find online that
Awesome.
are willing to support runners who are doing stuff. And again, I think that charity runners are doing important things for the world and changing funding research for a wide variety of charity, diseases, or they're funding stuff for suicide prevention. They're helping make the world a better place. And I think just generally the run community should continue to lift up charity runners and help them succeed.
Absolutely. So, Alex, how can I mean, clearly you're making a difference. And man,
Thank you.
on behalf of the running community, I want to thank you so much for that and just encourage you and help you in any way we can. So, how can we, as part of the running community and listeners to the podcast here, how can we help you in your cause?
Yeah. So I have started about 6 months ago a wild campaign called Catch Up to Cancer. I hate ketchup, but
Me too. Me too.
yeah, so gross. I hate ketchup, but I hate cancer more. And
Mm,
so I've started this marketing campaign of catching up to cancer. And so you can follow me on Instagram at catch up to cancer, TO cancer. Also check out my website as well, catchuptocancer.com. You can make a donation to my fundraising campaign for London. And you can make a difference by any dollar amount you're giving, 1, 5, 50, 100, anything greater. Like that is making a huge impact in research and making sure no family ever receives a bill.
awesome. So I know you've talked a little bit, and we'll make sure to get those links and everything in the bio, and make sure that we get that out to our listeners. So I know you talked about London coming up. What else? What's next?
Yeah, so after London, hoping for a spot for 2027 for Tokyo. And then I think my marathon journey is going to take a good break for a little
Okay.
bit. I will have done the 6 majors in 3.5 years. It has
Awesome.
been rough on my body. I've been to like
Sure.
physical therapy 4 times. Like I need a break. I need to go
Sure.
like to the half or 5K, 10K distance.
Hmm.
But all of that said, um, I think there's something fantastically cool about this Catch Up to Cancer campaign, and I'm
Yes.
looking forward to wherever that journey takes me. And there are new ideas popping every day, and we're trying to start a movement that
Awesome.
we should catch up to cancer.
Awesome, man. I'm excited about that
Yeah,
for you. I know the running community is excited, and we'll be eager to get behind you, and we will love to do that and personally make sure that we help out. It's a great cause, man, and
thank you.
it's so encouraging and it's so inspiring, and so thank you for that.
Of course.
Um, so tell us, you talked about what's next. Well, what are you most excited about?
Yeah. I never used to be able to travel a whole lot. Like I travel a lot for work, but never for fun. And part of these races have been just a very cool way to go see the world. I in Berlin, I took a night in Amsterdam. I took a couple of days in Italy afterwards. For London, we're looking to be able to go to Scotland for a couple extra days
Nice.
afterward. So I think that is very cool. And then the run community that I have built so far in with Catch Up to Cancer has been so fantastically cool. Similar to what you said, Dusty. Here is there are so many amazing stories of runners,
Mhm.
and to be able to hear some and celebrate their successes and just build a network and community of people is I don't know. It has been so exciting and invigorating of my
Awesome.
journey.
Awesome. Well, one of the things that we're very, very big on is this idea of celebrating wins. And I know we talked about it earlier. It just seems like in our world today, we don't we don't necessarily do that enough. We get wrapped up in the negativity and the busyness of life, and we don't always take time to celebrate the wins. And so, no doubt in my mind, Catch Up to Cancer is a win, and we want to celebrate that. And just, I would encourage each of our listeners, again, we'll provide all the information in the bio and links to how you can help support this incredible cause. And Alex, I'm going to ask you one last question, man. If in one statement you could encourage our listening audience with one piece, one statement of advice, what would that be?
Take the first step. Whatever that is in your life, whatever the thing you have told yourself you could never do, take that first step. You don't have to eat the elephant, right? As we talked about.
Sure.
One step, and forward will get you there.
This has been Alex Baker. Y'all, if you have not, please check out his charity movement, Catch Up to Cancer. A great cause, a cause worth supporting from an inspirational person with an inspirational story. Alex, man, thanks so much for coming on today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on.
This has been the Run Dusty Run podcast. Again, want to thank Alex Baker for being our guest today. And until next time, don't forget, keep showing up and keep going.